I'm back again. Welcome to another episode of my story. Um, Today is June 29th. I'm back in the office. As you can see, my colleagues are with me. And you can see the big boss there. The sun is hot, and just as the weather is hot, the climate, the globe is hot. And we're all still experiencing the intensity, whichever way, whatever you fall into, whether energetically sensitive, culturally sensitive, or whatever way. The global wars, the killings and the riots and all of that, it's not something that we can ignore. May God continue to spread our peace and love. I wanted to talk about something today which I'd already scribbled down, but I changed the topic simply because there is something else that has been screaming to set free, to be free within me. It's screaming out. And this is the second episode of the relationship. First one I started with was the relationship between God and the devil. So now I'm bringing it more into a grounded, more perspective, deeper than the last one. I pray I'm able to capture with words what I see. So I've mentioned it before. I don't think I've given it in detail. I was born in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, which is in West Africa. And I've moved around a lot, and somehow I'm finding myself in the United States. And then all of a sudden again, my soul chose to advance into another level of being, which is partly one of the topics I wanted to talk about today. But again, let me not digress. But for some reason, my soul has chosen to go deeper in its evolution by migrating here and seeing things from a different perspective. So now that I'm here, I'm far away from what I was born into, the culture that I was shaped by, and the ideas are far away from what I'm currently experiencing here in the Western world, if that's what they call the United States. So with me, some of the challenges that I'm facing currently are themes of karmic relationships and codependency. And this is not even relationships that I consciously engage in. These are people that I do not know. And the dynamics is playing by I'm seeing myself having to defend my own existence of being, of taking up space. And for some reason, that just my being is irritating them, which is normal. You hear all the talks of empaths, mirroring back all that story. But I'm going somewhere. So continuous praying and meditating and dedicating and focusing my path to God and asking God when this pattern going to be lifted. How is this serving me? And so I started to dive deeper into it. Nothing was coming. I was just seeing, for now, the goal is to continue to absorb. So sometimes I'll die into the process. Sometimes I'll resist. Sometimes I'll come back angry. Sometimes it will come with fear. I was just shifting through all the levels of consciousness, different perspectives. Sometimes I'll be joyful, compassionate, and then boom, like that. And it's normal. I guess that's the way consciousness evolves. But what's very interesting that I know is what I'm here to do. I've continued to speak about it, the projects that I want to take off. Well, physically, my body can't do that. But mentally, I already know what I want to do, how I want to do it. I just need to speak to a certain amount of people and do certain amount of things and for those projects to exist. But my body is like, nope, right now this is what I want us to focus on. So by doing that, these stories that I'm involving myself with outside of myself, that has nothing to do with me, that I don't even know these people, keeps drawing me away from my center into their own story. And each time I have to navigate myself back into my center, back into my own story, processing all of that stuff. And me knowing fully well that I have everything within me to nourish myself, provide for myself, take care of myself. Well, the stories of this abandonment, which obviously has been instilled as a cultural behavior. And what's interesting is that at first, I'm not going to skip through it like it was an easy thing to move past, of the dynamics of how I was raised as a child, as a baby, in the way that I was abandoning myself to tune myself out to others around me to feel safe. And there were times I had to move. This took me years to move through, to not hold anything against my parents, understanding it from a spiritual perspective. But then I now realize as years grew by, this is more like 3 years now, I've now begun to see a different picture of it. So from my standpoint, something must have happened as a child which they've not revealed to me yet. My soul has yet to reveal this to me yet. Something happened that I left myself and learned how to tune out of myself and tune into others for safety, to take care of whoever that needed to be taken care of. And this is something that we old souls have incarnated in this lifetime to kind of like bring light into, because these are patterns and cycles that have existed on this planet for eons. So for people like me that have to incarnate into that amount of density and then walk my way out of being in Africa, being the last among men, and finding my way out into my own truth, and breaking off the shackles of what used to be my compass in the past, of what was instilled into me. So a lot of these old souls, we incarnated into this kind of cultural, religious mindset. Now, nothing is wrong with culture and nothing is wrong with religion. The question is how it's being given and how it's being used. That may be where the problem is. Because to be honest, every tool given to us is always created from the truth. And so you can use anything that is being given to you to navigate or find your way back to the truth. So nothing is an enemy, but depending on how much you are polarized into, that can change the dynamics of what that tool is. Now, when I'm talking about this point of my relationship and I keep asking this codependent and all this stuff, all of a sudden I had this epiphany that God gave to me, because I was so hard on myself on why I just couldn't break free from it. Then I now realize this is a huge global program that is going on in the society today. So from slavery, like this black and white slavery issue that is still being spoken of, is still kind of like the same mentality. And I hope I'm able to capture this with what I have in my mainframe. But what people don't realize, or what isn't being taught into the public, is that racism isn't something personal, something that was done personally to a particular race. It's something that is still running currently in the program in the world right now. So, and what do I mean? You see, if you hear a lot of us blacks, we are still keen on repatriation, and we want our lands back, we want things back and all of that stuff back from what has been done to us in the past, and we have not been able to move on from it. So we find ourselves still blaming the white race for what was done. Now, before I lose this train of thought, how is that reflected in my story? So in my story, I know that I have everything within me to nourish me, that I don't need anything from anyone outside of myself. Everything is within my hidden chamber of my soul. I still find myself blaming someone outside of me. Why is this person causing me this? Why is this person causing me that? And how is that reflecting into the current race in Africa? In Africa, we have all the natural resources that we need to become a powerhouse in the world. We have all the resources that we can. But for some reason, we abandon those resources and we are collecting aids from people that, according to them or according to the words, enslaved us in the past. And so now we blame our leaders for putting us in this situation, because all our leaders, what they see is how to take care of themselves rather than how to take care of the country. So they are abandoning the country to take care of themselves. And then the country is slowly decaying within itself with its resources. So I'm seeing how that is playing out in my own story, as that program is a global theme that is trickled into almost everything. And how is that? If you look at it from a spiritual standpoint, you as a person, the only difference here is that the higher self is waiting to connect with me. But whatever it is, the program that I have that I'm running is making me resist for my higher self to come and help me move past what I'm currently going through, because of the lower mind perspective that I'm still in and dwelling in. And it's kind of like reflecting into what is going on in Africa, where the people and the governance doesn't see the people, and the governance only see their pockets, and the people are suffering. So the governance is like the higher mind, while the people are like the lower mind. So at first I started to go very personal with Africa. And then it wasn't until later again that God opened my eye further deep to see that the program is actually a global thing. It's not an African thing. Like if you look at America now, look at how much money has been invested into security of firearms, of military weapons, of how many places they have strategically posted themselves in the world to create safety for themselves. Just because they want to be safe, they don't want to damage themselves. And by doing that, a lot of people in the world, in America, are still suffering. They don't have food, places to eat, economy is going bonkers, etc. So they have somehow been abandoned under the ideology that their security is a priority more than their own well-being. That part of the security is part of their well-being. And this is the program that is globally run, where all the countries have all this military stacked up, all in the name of protecting themselves from an enemy. But people are suffering and people are dying in their house, in their country. So, and this is where I'm seeing how that too is happening within my own program. Because I am seeing myself that I am now abandoning myself to fight spiritual warfare, to fight somebody, which I don't need to do. I don't need to fight anybody for anything, because there's nothing to protect there. It's supposed to be an open-hearted situation. So that is where I'm seeing how all these programs are playing out from, and it's a global program. So imagine if all the countries in the world gave up the amount of money they are spending, the budget they are spending on military provision, and they turned it inward to cater to people. Who would they now be worried that is going to fight who, if everybody is busy taking care of themselves? Obviously, what I'm talking about is a land of years to come. the vision that we are trying to implant of these new souls that are devoted to God, that want to bring peace and love here. Because if you look at the core root of what is causing war is everyone is afraid of the other. So if you are afraid that you are going to bomb me, I'm afraid that you're going to bomb me, then let somebody that sees both perspectives bridge the communication and say, well, I'm acting out of fear. I'm also acting out of fear. So if you are not afraid of me, I'm not afraid of you, then why are we afraid? Then let's do something else with that fear. Then everybody's free. And I say it simply, but it's a place that is going to happen. It's a place that I believe and I continue to pray for, the state of mind of the world. And that's one of the things that keeps me going. Believing, seeing all these things, inner and outward reflection, and knowing fully well and trusting my relationship with God, that God will grant me this full heart opening for myself. And by doing that also, it begins to reflect in the world individually, because nobody wants to really wake up and say, I want to go and fight, or today I want to fight. People want to be heard. People want to be seen. People want to feel like they are among. We are human beings. This is our natural design. There's a relationship aspect that is very crucial to us. And that relationship, if it's not nurtured well, it will be nurtured with weapons. So whichever way it is, we're always going to have a relationship as human beings. So what is very important as that is that relationship should be a positive one. As much as we can, to try as much as possible to find ways to always love and listen. Even as I'm talking to you, I'm still dealing with this conflict. But in my own way, I'm trying every day, finding ways. God, show me a different way than what I'm seeing. Show me a different way, because there's another way. Show me a different way. And I believe because of this praying and seeking is why all these other epiphanies are showing to me that, it's not only you. This is a global theme. So when I brought up slavery, what I really brought up slavery for was the anchor point of this part of the conversation, which is when the relationship is not healthy, it changes into a power dynamics where one person wants to dominate the other because the other person is afraid of the other, not knowing fully well what the other one's intention is. And that's how power dominance really begins, I guess, from my own perspective. So one person says, I don't trust what this person is doing. So because of that, I'm going to try and take the person out before the person takes me. And the other person might be sitting down there and saying, I don't know what this person is up to, but this person might be trying to take me out. So let me take the person out before the person takes me. And that's how it goes. The same thought. And each is just projecting like that. So when that happens now, whoever is stronger in that dynamics begins to come into this karmic pattern of relationship, codependency, where the fight continues to happen every day. Like that, the fight happens, the war happens, this war continues as a cycle. And until one person decides to break away and say, I'm no longer interested. I'm going to do something about my little experience of what that relationship was that we had, from the dynamics of my projection and the dynamics of my experience. I'm going to use it to do something, I'm going to make something positive out of it in my life. And sometimes you find that when those people leave, it creates the reality of that other that is being left behind to reflect on the situation. Depends. The dynamics can go either way, but that's not the point of the conversation. The point I'm trying to bring out is this has happened before. When the Nazis took the Jews into the camp, all the experience of what happened between the Germans and the Jewish people, the Jewish could have come out into a point and played the same role Africans are playing, or saying we want justice for what was done to us by the Germans. We want reparations for everything that was done to us by them. We will not leave until this is given unto us, right? That could be their narrative. But they chose a different narrative, which is what I'm seeing, even though maybe the other narrative is playing. But globally, what we can see about them is all that pain that they experience changed their story into, we should never be in this situation, never in our life again. What can we do to change it? And look at it now. If you look at the global, who's dominating the world financially? And they are not expecting anybody to pay them for anything. And that's how they alchemize their own experience to become this global phenomenon of running the world financially, owning the entertainment system, financial system, all of this stuff. All of because where the experience they had in their DNA. And that's where I'm trying to bring this focused narrative to. And that's why I brought up this segment as the relationship to dynamics. The first one I did was God and the Devil. Now this is a grounded human perspective, my experience, projecting it into the global experience. So with all the chaos that is going on, let us find ways to continue to go within, deep within, to honor our own call, our soul's calling, so that we too can become the light. And eventually, when we become that light, we have no element of resentment left in us. And then we can teach others to break the cycle of enmity and resentment and power dynamics and just get into a healthy way of living. And I can go deeper into this whole the codependent thing, but that's the topic. I don't want to get into the dynamics, but that's just the topic. And again, slavery is not only white or black. If you are doing something that is not bringing joy to your soul, to earn money and to grow somebody else's vision, that's another way of slavery. We cannot be a battery for others' movement, to the vehicle of others. We can only be a battery to our own movement. So, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Share if you have people that are interested and like-minded into my perspective. And once again, I'm here to honor those that came before me, that were silenced, those that are with me, that are silenced, and those that will come after me, that so that they will never be silenced anymore. Thank you. May peace continue to reign among us. Amen.